Samantha pressed herself into the farthest spot behind the bathroom door and held her phone tight. Outside, announcements were muffled and echoed down the empty hallway, but she barely heard the vice principal because her heart was beating so fast. A lockdown. Trapped. Alone. She went to the bathroom in between classes to get away from the looks and comments that had been following her all morning. But now the squeaking faucet sounded like heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and every swallow was too loud in the tense quiet. There was a shadow that went under the door. She tried not to cry as she desperately scrolled through her home screen with shaking fingers. "Hi, Lauren." She had to tell Lauren. Sam typed a message in silence while her breath was shaking. The bathroom. Somebody is here. Not secure. Help. Send it. She could no longer do anything about it. In history class 2 halls away, her only friend would have to understand without being told. Samantha put down her phone and tightened her grip on it to block out her terrified wheezing. Another shadow went by. This time, it's louder. That's it. Not far enough. Through her tears, she begged in her head for the danger to end and for help to come before. The door slammed shut. Samantha screamed, and the high-pitched sound kept bouncing off the tile walls as a huge figure walked through the door. She squished herself into the corner even more, pulling her knees up to her chest and putting her palms over her mouth, getting ready for the end. It didn't come, though. The figure laughed instead and threw its head back, a loud, scary laugh that echoed around the bathroom like crazy. Sam's heart stopped beating. There was no one there but a clown in front of her. It had a painted white face, an orange wig that was pulled back, a big red nose, and rouged cheeks that made its leer impossible to contain. In a rough rasp, it asked, Well, what do we have here?" Another peal of crazy laughter. A little mouse that got lost and was by itself. What fun! It moved slowly forward, its big shoes scuffing against the dirty tile. Samantha had trouble breathing, and her nails were digging into her hands in a painful way. Even though her brain told her to run, she couldn't because she was so scared. This is not real. Clowns didn't exist, at least not in real life, but the painted face looked at her from closer in the dirty light, and she was sure it wasn't a dream. The heart pounding in her ears was cut off by a loud bang. When the door hit the wall, it scared both Samantha and the clown. Backlit like an angry angel, Lauren stood there with Vice Principal Smith and 2 armed police officers on either side of her. "Get away from her," Sarah screamed. The clown let out another scary laugh and took a step backwards with his hands up to show that he was giving up. Even with the grease paint on, its eyes never left Samantha's. They were cold and soulless. "This isn't over, little mouse." It hissed as it split, but the police jumped in and dragged it down the hallway, where it could be heard laughing hysterically. Samantha was curled up and shaking, and her lungs were gasping for air, as if she had just come to the top after a long fight underwater. Lauren ran to her side, close enough to touch, but not too close, and whispered that the danger was over. It was too hard for Samantha to answer. She kept hearing the clown's words over and over in her head. It's not over yet. It was only the beginning of her horror. The police car pulled away, leaving the bound clown and his partner behind the wall in eerie silence. Samantha didn't calm down until the beast's brake lights went out around the turn, finally blocking her view of them. As the sun went down, she stood there shaking, Lauren's arm around her shoulders, giving her comfort. Vice Principal Smith told them that the school was safe and that the threat was over for now. However, Samantha felt a deeper sense of dread building in her bones. Officer Dunn took off the clown's makeup at the station with stream after stream of wet wipes, showing normal boys behind the masks. Samantha almost gasped out loud when she saw that Matt and Jordan were teenagers who'd been grounded last month for damaging Mr. Leonard's car. Of course, the teacher would also lie about this. In the clean observation room, She sat there with a stone face while Matt spit out swear words and Lauren squeezed her hands tightly. When asked a question, Jordan shrugged and smiled across the two-way mirror. Teach. It was just a senior joke. There was no harm done, right? That's not right, Detective Morales said, leaning forward closely. Similar pranks played on two young girls last Halloween left them needing medical help. Boys, you could be charged with a crime. This time, real years in jail. Matt turned pale and didn't say anything. I saw Jordan throw up his hands. Hey, Matt came up with the idea. You know, I just went along with it. I don't want to get hard time. We'll see about reducing your charges for full cooperation, said Morales. Start talking. All of it came out when Matt was threatened with jail. He said that he was angry at that Miller bitch for getting him suspended and jokingly suggested that as payback, they should dress up as clowns and freak everyone out because he was bored. Jordan went along with it. He didn't mean any harm. She shook so hard that her teeth were chattering. Lauren's eyes across the glass were filled with uncontrollable anger. She was mad at Samantha, the boys who had broken the school's safety rules, and all the girls who had been truly scared because of these spoiled brats' weird sense of fun. When the conversation was over, Morales walked out of the room, looking happy. Well done, you two. I'll get back to you about court dates. Samantha and Lauren slowly stood up to leave, but the officer grabbed their arms. How are things going for you? I can't understand what they did. Samantha looked at her worn-out boots and didn't know what to say. The terrible things that happened that day were like a pit opening in her stomach. She didn't think she'd ever feel safe again. That night, Samantha's stomach was full of heavy, greasy food while her folks talked in hushed, worried tones. Clearly not dealing well. School transfer might be best. Samantha didn't pay attention and kept turning the charm on her bracelet around and around its worn grooves. She couldn't stop thinking about clownish leers in the dark and the uncomfortable pit that had moved into her belly ever since. She couldn't get away from these scary thoughts. But maybe, just maybe, she could start to heal in a new place where there aren't any ghosts. Matt and Jordan were kicked out of school by a majority vote of the board, but Principal Leonard seemed unhappy about the decision. The boys were thought to be mistaken pranksters, not monsters, by people in the town. But Samantha knew what was really going on behind the cold eyes and fake smiles. A week later, she stood in the hallway under a tap that was steadily dripping. She counted the leaks to break away from her feelings of sadness. She spun around as a locker slammed behind her, her heart racing to her mouth. But it was only Lauren, with a sad smile and a cardboard box. I got you a transfer to my school, Lauren told her politely. It's a fresh start, away from all this. Samantha gave a grateful nod and tucked a loose hair behind her ear with shaky hands. A new start sounded like the way out. That night, Samantha packed in silence while her parents agreed downstairs. The choice had been made, and she was hoping that this new school would fill the dark holes that worry had left in her. Samantha kept her chin down as Lauren told her to, on her first day at Lauren's school, even though her stomach was turning. There were whispers following her, but Lauren's steadying arm made her feel stronger. There might not be ghosts around every corner here. Therapy worked for some. Nice Dr. Ashley taught people with panic attacks how to breathe steadily, but Samantha still woke up most nights screaming, and leering grins and crazy laughter could be heard echoing down empty hallways. Lauren never grumbled about the many calls she got late at night. She just listened until Samantha's fast breathing stopped. During this hard time, their bond grew into the loyalty of sisters. Months went by in a blur. Samantha went to class without thinking and didn't eat much. Her jokes didn't land, and dark circles started to form under her eyes. It felt like the pit inside her was going to swallow her whole. In February, Police Officer Morales knocked on the door with his hat on. She said softly, the boys took a plea deal. 5 years, possibly less with good behavior. Samantha quietly nodded, feeling a mix of fear and relief. The threat was taken away, and justice was done. Still, memories stuck with her like ghosts, following her around when she was awake and showing up in her dreams. Could she ever feel whole again? Even though it was spring, Samantha was still numb and lost in her thoughts. Then, on a Monday, Lauren grabbed her hands and looked at her with bright eyes. "Please come with me to the school dance tonight. Forget about the past." Samantha wasn't sure what to do and looked around at the many pictures with a Halloween masquerade theme. It was too much with all the costumes and masks that smiled. Her smile, on the other hand, gave her hope that joy could be found in the dark. At night, Samantha fixed a domino mask with sequins that Lauren had given her in front of the bathroom mirror. Pop music played softly from the gym, behind the painted walls, letting everyone know that the dance was in full swing. She took a deep breath to calm down. You were able to do this. For Lauren, take back your life. You will no longer let fear rule you. She struggled with the mask's stretchy strap with her shaking hands before she was able to secure it in place. As Samantha left the room, she saw Lauren smiling at her from the hallway. "You look great. Are you ready to blow up this popsicle stand now? I've heard that the punch is great." Samantha laughed softly, even though her stomach was tight with worry. Everything would be fine as long as Lauren was with her. They walked into the busy gym together, which was decorated in bright purples and oranges. Teenagers in costumes laughed and spun on the dance floor, which had scary lighting. A matched pair of skeletons walked by and winked at me. Samantha jerked, but she calmed down by taking a deep breath. They are not real. They are just outfits. This place is safe for you. With a cheer, Lauren pulled her toward the lunch table and grabbed cups from a volunteer werewolf who was grinning. Sam drank the fruit punch and let its sour sweetness calm her down. She said, "This is fun," as she watched a zombie horde dance to Thriller across the gym. Masks and costumes turned into a sea of smiles around her as the night went on. No one could judge the girl who used to freeze in the dark because of her domino mask. Sam's lungs felt free for the first time in over a year. It was like air. During a slow song, Lauren winked at her and pulled her onto the dance floor. "It's time for your first real dance. Since, well, don't keep dwelling on the past." Samantha nervously grabbed Lauren's hands, but didn't say anything. She swayed gently to the beat, while orange lights flickered. Slowly, carefully, step by step, the holes that fear had made in you filled with warmth again. Samantha realized with growing awe that she was now ready to let go of the past and welcome the bright future that was just waiting to happen. As the last song played, Lauren said she would get them party favors and then slipped into the crowd. Under the moving kaleidoscope lights and paper banners, Samantha smiled back at her. A shadow moved in front of her, and she turned around with a racing heart. But it was just a skull mask grinning as it quickly said sorry and blended back into the crowd. Samantha took a deep breath and relaxed her muscles. It was fine. She was fine. After that, Lauren gave her a tight hug at the gym doors. "I'm so proud of you for facing your fears in that way. I know no one's stronger than you." Samantha smiled. The October sky was getting darker, but she felt lighter than she had in years. People used to say that what didn't kill you made you better. As she stood here with the mask in her hand, she knew for sure that her nightmares were over. The long path to recovery was over. She could easily shape her bright future that stretched out in front of her.